Okay, I'm back. Ish. Something very wrong happened to my last video. I'm so sorry for that. I'm going to repeat what I was saying, which makes me so mad because I took time and recorded the whole thing. Then it got messed up for some reason, but it's fine. I was talking to responding to the cervical cancer and HPV vaccine questions that I've gotten, and a request that I should speak on this. So the HPV is the virus, right? It's human papilloma virus. We have more than 100 of HPV viruses. These are like a wide range, like it's so many of them, but not all of them are causing diseases. We have a group that causes diseases among human, both animals and human, and then we have those that are not causing diseases. So among these ones that are causing diseases, we group them, we call them high risk HPV causing infections, right? And then we're going to have the low risk. So it's important to know about the high risk, and if a person is infected, you want to know if is this person infected by a high risk or a low risk. Because if it's a high risk, it means this woman is going to develop into cancer. They are at risk of developing it into cancer. Cervical cancer is caused by more than 90% of the HPV viruses. So when a woman has cervical cancer, we know that it's mainly the HPV that caused them to have that cervical cancer. That's a key thing. So that's why cervical cancer is very important to know the education around it, especially the prevention. You know, it's difficult to manage cancer. We know that once your family member or your friend or your colleague or whoever, once they are diagnosed with cancer, the chances of surviving are like very, very slim. Well, it depends on what stage they diagnosed it with. But I believe all of us know somebody who succumbed to cancer. HPV or cervical cancer is the only cancer that we know exactly how to prevent it, because it's caused by HPV. And HPV is a sexually transmitted infection. It's the most common sexually transmitted infection in the whole world. So cervical cancer it's number 5 killing among women globally, but in South Africa it's the number 2. So it's the second most cause of death among women in South Africa in the following the breast cancer. So breast cancer is the number 1 cancer killing, and cervical cancer is number 2. So you can see that in low to middle income countries or in the poorer countries, cervical cancer gets to be killing more. Regardless of the information, we know exactly how to prevent it, how to diagnose it early, and how to manage it early. We still get to see a lot of women come to the health system so late, such that we can't even do anything, or we can't do much about it. We just get to have supportive care, and just we end up burying so many of these women. So it's important for everyone listening to this video, whether you're a man or woman, because if you're a man, you are born of a woman. We have a sister, we have a daughter, you have a mom, you have partners that are women. The information is very important. Everyone needs to be educated about this, especially the prevention, because especially you guys are in relationships, you need to make sure that you support your partners and you drive them to actually prevent or continue screening for this important disease. So I did say it's the second most killing, and it's caused by HPV. And among the HPV causing, remember we said it's more than 100. Among the HPV causing viruses, we have 16, 18, we have 31, we have 33, we have 45, 52, and 58. Those are we are calling them high risk. I just gave you a list of high risk causing HPV viruses. If you're infected by any of the list that I've just given now, it means you are at greatest risk of developing cancer. But other types, they are not really causing cancer. So HPV itself is the most common virus, sexually transmitted virus. And then among the low risk types, we have HPV 6 and 11. So this one is hardly causing cancer, but it can cause cancer, but it mostly causes genital warts. Those people that have this sexually transmitted infection that makes them look like some popcorns, you get to have growth, but it's not like extensive cancerous growth, but they get to have those fleshy things all around their genitals. The genital warts is mainly caused by HPV 6 or 11, but the list I've given you is high risk, therefore they're most likely causing cancer. So when the important thing about cervical cancer is that we have screening, we have prevention. Prevention starts with immunizations. We have vaccines that are preventing women from getting this thing, this HPV virus. So we normally give it to girls from 9 to 14 years of age, around there. Well, that's the target in South Africa, but everyone can get it, men and women from 9 years of age up to like 26 or so in other countries. But in South Africa, we're focusing on girls that are between the ages of 9 to 14 years to get those vaccines that are protecting women against these HPV viruses. This is simply because those vaccines, by the way, they are protecting women against these viruses that are causing cervical cancer. So if you have a girl child around from the age of 9, you need to make sure. So the main issue is that we are rushing to give the young women this vaccine before their sexual debut. Remember, we said the HPV, majority of people, they get exposed to this HPV STI at their sexual debut, first time when they have sexual intercourse, whether you wanted it or not, whether you consented it or not, whether you were raped or you consented. As long as your first sexual encounter, you are at greatest risk of contracting this HPV. And we did say not all of them are causing infections. Even these ones that are causing infections, as you grow older, your immune system is able to fight off the infection. You may not have persistent infection. The problem is when you have now persistent HPV infection, especially by the high risk genotypes. Therefore, you are at risk of developing cancer. Among those that have cancer, cervical cancer, majority of them are caused by this HPV. So it starts with that vaccination. So we need every single woman to be vaccinated against HPV so that in case they get exposed to HPV, they are protected against it. I always say prevention is multifaceted. It's not just one pill that works out magic. So we have different preventative measures because it works on different contexts. So as much as we have HPV vaccine, we still promote a lot safer sex practices, like delay your sexual debut as much as you can, and safer sex practices. If people are now in relationships, or you are married, or you are now at your dating game or whatever, you need to make sure that you try your best to maintain safer sex practices using condoms. Because if you use contraceptives alone that are not a barrier or that are not condoms, you are protected against pregnancy, but we are not protected against STIs. So the only barrier, the only contraceptive that protects you from STIs is a condom usage. So condoms, they are a barrier. They make sure that the sexual juices do not get to mix. Therefore, it's the only measure right now that can protect you from STIs. And therefore, it minimizes the risk of you contracting HPV. We did say HPV is the most common STI and is the cervical cancer causing STI. So that's key. So safer sex practices, condom usage, and vaccination, especially before their sexual debut. The younger the better. From at the ages of 9, they need to get their vaccination. So mothers, fathers, you need to make sure that your daughter has this, because you don't want your daughter to develop cervical cancer in future. You don't want your daughter to succumb, or don't want to bury your daughter because of cervical cancer. Again, it's the second killing causes in South Africa. So it is very important following the breast cancer. So that's really key. So once it doesn't have symptoms, once a person has contracted this HPV virus, they don't have symptoms in their body. So you cannot tell if your partner has it or not. If you go into a relationship, you don't even know if you were in yourself, you have it or not from your previous relationships. The only way to know is get tested. So screening is when we look for these things. We checking. Remember, with HIV, I always say you can't say I'm HIV negative because I haven't been around, I'm a God's child. It doesn't work like that. You need to have tested. Only evidence says you are negative or positive. Same as these things. Your HPV, that's why I advise everyone, especially the premarital counseling, has to include the health screening and sexual health screening, because you need to know what you're getting yourself into. You need to know what your partner brings into this relationship. Now yourself, you need to know what do you have before you go into other relationships and manage it accordingly. So when we screen and then we get to find that you have this HIV, persistent HPV infection, we need to know which one is it. Is it high risk or low risk? And we need to know if we are able to treat you and prevent it to spread. So there's changes that are happening in a woman's body once you are infected with a chronic or a persistent HPV infection. So your cervix will change first in terms of the cervical intraepithelial neoplasm. We are grading it from 1 to 3 according to the extent and the severity. Those are first changes before you turn into cancer. Once we have cancer, also we have grade 1 to 4. Is also managed according to, we need a type, a part 2 again. Ash.